Charles. And he's going to talk about constructing an offense. So please welcome Coach.
Thank you.
El coach Josh Longstaff, él trabaja con los Charlotte Hornets y se va a enfocar en construir una ofensiva.
First of all, thank you everyone for having me, allowing me here to speak. I'm going to talk about offense briefly here and just how to construct an offense, just based off my experiences in 15 years in the NBA and kind of where I also see the game going in the future.
En esta parte que me voy a enfocar en la construcción de una ofensiva, dentro de los 15 años que he estado en la NBA, he visto varios puntos alrededor de varios equipos y les quiero pasar los primeros como consejos o información que he generado entre este tiempo.
So I think the first thing, and there's a lot of coaches in here, and I think everyone does it a little differently, but at the NBA level, the first thing that we do when we're trying to build an offense is we look at what's important to us and what our best players are good at.
Nosotros creo, bueno, como puedo ver, hay muchos entrenados aquí y lo saben, pero desde donde partimos, o me ha gustado a mí, es no una idea que ya tenemos puesta, sino veo a mi equipo, a mis jugadores, y dependiendo de las cualidades que tienen, ahí empezamos a construir una ofensiva basado en ellos.
And so the way I'm going to kind of talk about it is the three things that are important to me offensively are playing with pace, you know, playing fast ahead of the defense before they can get set, playing with great space to allow everybody to have room to play and to make the reads easier. And then the last thing is playing together, really sharing the ball, trying to get the great shot.
Siente que las tres cosas más importantes cuando está enfocándose en la ofensiva, la primera es que jueguen a un buen paso, a un paso continuo. La segunda es que jueguen un paso muy rápido, en pocas palabras, que lleguen antes de que la defensa se pueda establecer y mover y estar bien parada, que le puedan ganar a eso. And the third one, coach?
Is playing together.
Y jugar juntos, que se jueguen en conjunto es la tercera importante. Thank you.
So I think, let me get 5 guys out here in blue jerseys. Let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue jerseys, please. Yep. Step up. I'll get you in a minute to play defense on the white team, okay? Okay, great. The defensive part, it's great. So I think to start, I'm just going to show you guys the alignment. We like to play 5 guys out on the perimeter just to give the most space possible and to also make the pictures a little bit easier for everyone to read the defense.
Como nos gusta jugar en Charlotte, generalmente tienen los 5 jugadores
I just have you stand
para tener mucho más espacio y eso les permite tener mucho más jugadas y movimiento.
You stand in that corner. You stand on this wing, you stand in that corner there. Okay, so just to name the spots, we like to, I've been in a couple of different teams, we like to name the spots to give the players a direct place to run to. So this first spot, the guy with the ball, he's called the attack spot. Attack.
Ah, perfecto. Yeah. De cada uno de los lugares le ponen un nombre dentro del equipo para que ya lo tengan marcado. Y por ejemplo, en este lugar donde está el balón le llaman el punto de ataque, al cual este es ataque.
We've got the strong side corner here.
Aquí tenemos strong side, que es como la esquina fuerte de este lado.
We've got the trail spot, the player that is trailing down the middle of the floor.
La parte trasera que es que cubre toda la parte de atrás de la cancha.
We've got the weak side wing, who is the player that is opposite the ball. We call that the weak side.
Tenemos la parte del ala débil, pero débil porque el balón está del otro lado, la reconocemos como el lado del ala débil.
And we've got the weak side corner, the person that is opposite the ball in the opposite corner.
Y la esquina débil otra vez porque el balón está del lado fuerte, entonces la esquina débil.
And the one thing that is a little bit different, a little bit unique, where I think in the NBA we feel the game is going is anybody can be in these spots. It doesn't matter if you're a big, you're a small, you can be in any one of these 5 spots.
Y ahora un fenómeno que ha pasado mucho en la NBA que estamos viendo es que cualquier jugador puede estar en cualquiera de estas posiciones, a diferencia de cuando jugábamos también que solo los grandes podían jugar abajo.
And it kind of goes with what Dutch talked about with player development. You see it now at all ages. You guys watch Nikola Jokic. He'll bring the ball up sometimes. He's not just in the middle of the floor. And I think today's game, you got to kind of adjust to allow players to play to their strengths.
Y como lo ven en la televisión en los partidos, los jugadores ahora se tienen que ajustar porque, por ejemplo, Nicola Jokic llega y a veces se encuentra en la parte del eje o en la parte de la cancha de 3 puntos y aunque es muy alto el que antes hubiera estado jugando abajo, puede estar jugando afuera, pero tenemos que adaptar ese tipo de juego, no lo vamos a cambiar acá.
So the first thing I'm going to do is just show everybody how we get to these spots when we're running up the floor. So we're going to go down full court and just kind of give you some organizational structure on how we're going to get to these 5 spots.
Y ya que están marcados estos 5 lugares, solo les vamos a enseñar cómo llegamos en transición a estos 5 lugares para que se formen una vez llegando a la ofensiva.
So if we were on defense here and we're going to go down to this end here, just to kind of get them started, and we would kind of drill it where you guys would just circle up. So let's just have
La manera que vamos a empezar,
player
si la
here.
ofensiva es para allá y están en
Right here.
defensa,
Yeah,
vamos a
great.
hacer un círculo aquí.
Perfect. Here you can have, you're right here, you're right here, and you're right in here, okay? So I would throw the ball off the backboard and we would start off of a rebound, okay? So if I throw it off, I want you to get the rebound, okay? Okay, good. So now when the rebound is got here, one of our rules, or we look at the court, is the basket line that goes straight from one side to the other. We call that the split line, the line that splits the 2 halves of the floor.
Obviamente, la línea entonces que vemos de un aro a otro aro, esa línea media, le llamamos la línea divisoria, porque obviamente divide la cancha de un lado a la otra mitad.
So when the rebound is gotten here, we don't want any players as they're running to cross the split line to get to the middle of the floor. We want to give as much space as possible.
Así que si el rebote cayó de este lado, no queremos que en ningún momento estos jugadores crucen la línea divisoria, sino que vayan de cada lado y que nunca se crucen y tengan la mayor cantidad de espacio posible.
So now, once the rebound is gotten, the other 4 guys, they can see which side of the split line they're on. So you guys are on this side, you're here. And we want these guys thinking about running hard and wide.
Ya, ahora que se dieron cuenta dónde cayó el rebote, saben que ustedes dos van a ir de este lado, no se van a cruzar y ustedes 3 van de este lado. Y lo importante que tengan en mente es que van a correr rápido y fuerte.
So as he gets it, you guys would start to, and you can just walk for me, run this way. You'd be running right behind him, and you'd be running behind him. So you guys start moving up the floor. That's good right there. And you on this side of the floor would start running this way, nice and wide. Now the player that got the rebound can look and he wants to outlet it whatever side of the split line he's on.
Passing the ball or dribbling.
Passing.
Con pase de salida hacia el lado donde lo recibiste, que sería esta área.
So you're going to outlet to him. Go ahead and pass it. Okay, hold on right there for a second. You start to run down to that corner. Yep. You start to run to the wing, and you're going to run right behind him. Okay? Whoever gets the rebound is automatically in the middle of the floor. So again, this could be a guard, this could be a big, it doesn't matter, it's a positionless offense. So now you guys are coming up the floor. If there are 3 guys on one side, the first guy will run through to the baseline to the other corner. You guys move. And now we have all 5 of those spots filled. The most important thing is when he's bringing the ball up, the first thing that we teach is for this guy, he sees all this space to drive it into the paint, so we don't want anyone running into the paint as he's trying to drive.
Y lo que también decimos que si están los 5 puestos en el momento en el que él viene, trate de ir hacia la canasta si está abierto, pero no queremos a nadie que vaya a cruzar, se quedan abiertos haciendo ese espacio para que no se vayan a cruzar y que lleguen otro defensa si está libre para entrar.
Okay, good. You guys just come right back in here for me. So now just to show one more time, okay, if we have somebody else get the rebound. So why don't you guys stay on this side, you can stay here, and you guys stay here. So a different player gets the rebound, you're gonna get it this time, okay? Rebound, so you guys would move up this way, move up, stay on the split line, that's great. Outlet here. Now you become the trail guy right in the middle of the floor. Down to the corner. This is how we would flow into it. So by running this way, you get a little bit of randomness in your offense with different players in the different spots.
Y de esta forma, cuando salen a la ofensiva, tienen un poco de azar, donde otros pueden estar cazando a la defensiva del otro equipo, sino cada quien puede acabar en una posición distinta a la ofensiva anterior.
So now, if you take the ball back right here, again, the first thing we would teach is, you see the open paint, we would teach the first read is for this guy to drive into the paint and play, drive and kick, creating advantages for his teammates.
Y aquí la primera opción que puedes tener es, si tienes opción de penetrar, desarrollar defensa y pasas el balón hacia afuera para empezar a crear opciones para tus compañeros.
So if we look at that, why don't you just come right here into the paint? Yep, good. Part of the player development that Dutch talked about is each player is unique in their own way.
Parte de lo que mencionó el coach Dutch es que cada jugador tiene cualidades distintas y es único.
And they all have different skills and what they're good at.
Y tienen diferentes talentos, son mejores o peores en algunas cosas específicas.
So if he were to drive into the paint, pass it out here to the corner, if this guy was a shooter or a ball handler, we would now tell him to read the defense and shoot it or drive it into the paint.
Y dependiendo del talento que tenga este jugador en la esquina, que haya quedado, si es buen tirador o si bota, le decimos que la tire en automático o que trate de ir hacia el centro otra vez.
If he catches it and he swings it here, go ahead and swing it.
Y la pasa.
If this guy was not a shooter, he was a big, maybe he's not a great shooter, he doesn't feel comfortable shooting, we would teach him in his player development to pass it and create an action and chase it into a pick and roll. Get out. So now you set the screen and roll to the basket. You'd roll to the basket, and then we would play from there. So your reads for different players are based on their strengths. Shooters, we want them to shoot. If they can also shoot and put it on the floor, we'd want them to play drive and kick. If the ball comes out to a big who doesn't feel comfortable shooting, we would teach him to move it on and create the next action.
Y dependiendo de las cualidades de cada jugador, ya formamos la ofensiva. Si recibe un tirador, puede tirar en automático. Si es buen botador, entonces puede atacar. Si no tira bien, entonces pasa y ya pone el bloqueo.
Okay, great. So let's start back in the middle. So that was, we looked at a missed shot. So we talked about whoever gets the rebound ends up in this trail spot. The other four guys are getting out wide.
Entrenamos que quien recibe el rebote nos quedamos de ese lado de la cancha y los demás abren con espacio, vamos al siguiente lado de la cancha, al otro lado.
So now we'll talk about a made basket. And the first thing I had mentioned is we want to play with really high pace so that we can get up the floor before the defense gets back and gets set.
El otro punto que mencionamos es que queremos jugar de una manera rápida, un paso rápido para que la defensa no se establezca antes de que lleguemos nosotros.
So now if we're drilling how to run down the floor and I do it off of a made basket, the closest guy to the ball is going to take it out. It doesn't matter if it's a point guard, a shooting guard, a big man. The closest guy takes it out so we can get it out and up the floor as quickly as possible.
Y a diferencia de antes, ajustándose al juego hoy en día, quien agarra el rebote más cercano al lado, o si sea un base, él es el que agarra y sale corriendo con ese balón, acomoda a todos los demás. No tiene que ser el grande.
So now I want you to just take this elbow. Let's say you're at the wing. Let's say you were at this elbow and you were over here when the shot was taken. I'm going to make the shot, hopefully. And you're the closest guy. I want you to take it out. You guys are going to move up the floor. I want you to outlet it to him. And then you guys move up the floor and you would take this trail spot. Okay? So here we go.
Si la recibes ahí, sacas y utilizan ese lado, del lado fuerte y salen corriendo hacia el otro.
Okay. Here we go. Right. Good. You trail in the middle. Good. Perfect. Good. You guys can freeze right there. So, again, rebounder or the guy that takes it out, takes this middle of the floor. Nobody runs through the split line. We stay nice and wide, and then we can get into our offense. Great. Why don't you guys just walk it down here for a second? Okay, good. Why don't you take the ball here and you go to this corner? Let's see, in the middle. Let's just say Jose. Yeah. Okay. Take this spot and you take the corner. Okay, so now we've got the running down, how we get to the spots. Now we look at, and you guys can kind of get creative and do it the way you want, but how you would build reads out of this kind of spacing off of a made basket.
Ahora, ya que vimos cómo pueden correr y cómo se acomodan en esos lugares, vamos a ver cómo leer las siguientes opciones que podemos crear para atacar a la canasta ya que están formados.
A lot of times what you're going to find is your bigger players, because they end up either getting the rebound or they're playing defense against bigger players who are down in the paint, will naturally end up in one of these two spots, the trail or the opposite wing.
Ahora se van a dar cuenta que los jugadores altos, 2 metros 10, 2 aproximadamente, ya no terminan abajo, sino generalmente estarán arriba porque habrán estado jugando a veces del otro lado de la canasta o corren más lento que terminan en la parte de arriba o en un ala.
So as you build out your offense, let's just, for example, for right now, let's say that you are the center.
Digamos que tú eres el centro ahora, eres un jugador de 2 metros 10.
Okay, so let's just, for example, say that he's the center. So as you come down the floor, if we have a call in, we just call it swing fist. Fist would mean pick and roll.
Por ejemplo, si tenemos una jugada que le pongamos swing y fist es pick and roll, vamos a hacerla.
The ball would get swung to the middle, to this guy here.
El balón pasaría al eje.
And then our big would come right into a pick and roll. Yep, come off, roll to the basket. Perfect, good. Lay it in, great. Get back to the same spots. Ball's here. Again, these are all triggers, these are all calls for you coaches to be able to make. Another one we would call is swing, point.
Otra que podemos hacer es swing y punto. Es una nueva que tienen como creativa que pueden hacer. La vamos a ver.
So now we would swing it, and if it's swing point, you would go set a screen for him. Exactly, and now when that happens, just go back. You come down to set the screen. Coach Dutch just talked about earlier player development, how to read screens, how to read dribble handoffs. This is all going to be built into your player development program.
Todo esto se va a meter en la parte de player development, el desarrollo de los jugadores, como se dice swing y punto. De ser así, tiene que ir a poner pantalla hacia el fondo y va a leer la pantalla.
So all of these actions are live, and we want to try to score. So if he sets a pin down, and let's say your defender comes over the top, you would curl it, and you would look to play, and now we're into our drive and kick.
Y estas van a ser a nivel de juego, a velocidad de juego real. Entonces, en el momento que lleguen, le pone pantalla y gira, va a recibir el pase del punto del eje, que es cuando se está a nivel 3, si no la puede pasar otra vez hacia afuera a la línea de 3.
Great. Throw it back to him. Let's say again, you came off of this, and you're the center, and you screen, and I chase you over the top, and let's say he's not open.
No te ve abierto. ¿Sigues?
You curl, and now you as a big guy would come right back. Throw it to him.
Vuelve otra vez. Tú le sigues hasta la de 3 puntos.
You throw it to the big.
Se la pasa ahí grande, pasa aquí.
Yep, come right off. You can hand it back to him.
Vuelve a ser.
Roll to the basket because you're a big.
Gira.
And now you're playing here, and you guys are off and you're playing.
Y aquí ahora pueden jugar 2 contra 2, dependiendo de la cualidad, en este caso del pivot más grande.
So all of your reads, again, are based off of your personnel. Okay, the calls don't change. but the reads and the actions and how we play each action is different based on who is in the action.
Entonces, por ejemplo, swing y fist o swing y point van a ser las mismas jugadas, pero cambian dependiendo de qué jugadores estén afuera. No van a mandar una jugada y siempre tienen que formar donde mismo. Aunque queden en distintos lugares, dependiendo de qué tan grande la cualidad tengan, es la que van a jugar. Esas son las lecturas que van a tener ustedes.
Great, and I'll just show you one more example with that. Just give me 5 guys in the white jerseys out on defense.
5 en blanco para defensa. De esa manera van a poder leer la ofensiva, las lecturas y decidir cuál van a enviar.
Great. So now, with this picture again, he's the center. Let's just say he's the center on this blue team.
Digamos que en azul tú eres el centro, el más grande, y quedó aquí en la esquina.
You're in the corner?
En la esquina, muy bien.
And if he was bringing it down, again, if we called swing, fist, he'd swing it.
Y si mandamos swing, fist, la pasas.
You're coming right into a pick and roll.
Como dijimos,
hold on.
Pick and roll.
Hold on. Good. So, bring it back.
Otra vez.
Again, part of our player development, part of our teaching to our team is when these two smalls, let's say they're both smalls now into a pick and roll, most likely when that happens, the defense is going to switch.
Y en este caso, por ejemplo, si los dos son del mismo tamaño, si no son tan altos, cuando vayan a hacer el pick and roll, casi siempre la defensa va a cambiar, va a hacer el switch.
And I think part of today's game and the evolution of players are, it doesn't matter if you're a big or a small. If you're a big, you need to be able to handle the ball. If you're small, you need to be able to set up a screen and roll to the basket.
Y también es importante la parte, como decía Coach Dodge, de desarrollo de jugadores en player development, porque como es el juego ahora, no importa si te enfrentas a un alto o a uno más bajo, los altos tienen que tener mayor tipo de movimiento de bote para llevárselos y poder jugar contra ellos.
So again, as an example, if we're in swing fist and it's two smalls coming to set and they set and these guys are going to try to switch, hold on one second. Part of the teaching is we want this guy to screen on the low side so that he can't switch underneath.
Lo que queremos hacer es, si ahora lo que quieren es cambiar, que vayan a poner el bloqueo del lado de abajo para que no puedan cambiar tan fácil.
Now when he rolls to the basket and you're behind him trying to get in front of him, if we can throw this to a guard in the paint.
Y cuando gira, entonces pueda quedar con la espalda del jugador abierto y pueda recibirla por arriba, el pase con algo de ventaja.
Now if we can teach our guards to do this, we have a guard catching the ball in the paint. If anyone comes to help, we have one of our best playmakers and passers now in the paint ready to make the next play.
Y donde eso sí funcione, entonces va a tener que jalar a otro jugador, forzarlo a que venga al centro y deja a alguien abierto para el tiro de 3. Por lo tanto, él pensó en que no ponga la pantalla enfrente, sino la ponga por abajo. De esa manera, cuando gira va a poder recibir porque no hay nadie en el centro.
Great, come right back. Another example, you had the ball here. Yep, you're on the wing. Let's say you started with it. Again, just because we went over these two actions, if we call swing, point, hold on one second. Swing it. Now, again, this is the center in the corner who might not feel comfortable coming off this screen and shooting a 3. So we'll give him 2 options, and Coach Dutch talked about the reads, whether the defender goes under or goes over.
Le vamos a dar 2 opciones, como mencioné Coach Dodge, que lea si la pantalla se va por abajo o lo sigue.
If he goes over the screen,
si se va por arriba,
you're going to curl it. Curl.
Entonces va a atacar, va a dar la vuelta y ataca hacia la canasta directo, dejando atrás.
And now we would teach our big guy, I'll just be you for a second, as he's trailing behind, to seal here in the paint, and that would be your first look.
Y de esa manera, otra vez, como hay espacio, no hay nadie dentro que ayude, puedes sellarlo y pedir el balón con el cuerpo grande que tiene.
Just go back to the corner. Against our bigs, most bigs, maybe that can't shoot, the defense is probably going to go under.
Los grandes generalmente, como no tiran, casi siempre la defensa se va a ir por abajo.
You come over, you go under. If the ball comes to him, throw it. He's not going to shoot because he's not a shooter. We would teach our bigs to flip it right back to the small and come off a pick and roll. Yep, exactly. And you would come off, he would be rolling. You guys are spaced, you're spaced out.
Enseñamos a venir de regreso, hacer el pie choke y bajar las dos para tener un pase corte o directo hasta la canasta.
Good. The last thing just to look at out of these two reads. Let's just say you guys switch spots.
Digamos que en este caso ustedes dos cambian. Están en el lado contrario, esta es la última.
Now we have two smalls in an off-ball action where a lot of times, traditionally, we're used to a big setting a pin down.
Ahora, si pueden ver, digamos que tenemos a dos más bajos, cuando generalmente estamos acostumbrados a que un alto le ponga el bloqueo a uno más bajo.
A lot of teams, when this happens, will try to switch this action because it's like size. So you come down to set the screen to come off. Let's say you two guys just try to switch. You stay here and you stay here.
En este momento, cuando van a uno que son más bajos y tratan de cambiar, uno se queda aquí, otro se queda aquí.
And part, again, of our reads, our player development, when you see that, you would slip to the basket because now he's behind you. That's one of your looks. You're probably going to be off right about here. That's your first look.
La primera lectura sería que si estamos viendo que van a cambiar, como no hay nadie en el centro otra vez, puedes pasar entre ellos, te quedas con un poco de ventaja enfrente y también jalas a un defensa un poco.
If he doesn't get it, a lot of times it'll cause a little bit of confusion here with you two. If you don't get it, you keep going. You throw it here. Now this is a guard playing off a closeout who could either shoot or now you try to drive.
Y si no la recibe, de todas formas puede crear un poco de conflicto aquí y puede comprometer al jugador de defensa. Si no la recibe, se va hasta el otro lado, deja abierto y provoca uno contra uno, donde puede tirar nuestro defensa que más un poco más rápido y más cualidades, tiro y puede penetrar.
Great. Thank you guys. You guys can have a seat. Thank you. I'll just say one more thing. So I think just in closing, like this is something that's different. There's a couple of NBA teams that have kind of tried a little bit of this. Again, I think the important thing is it's random. We're teaching younger players, we're teaching NBA players how to play to their strengths, but also to play the style of where the game is going in the future with the versatility.
Creemos que eso es interesante. Hay varios equipos, 2 o 3 de la NBA que lo están
Te lo preguntaban por la velocidad, no sabía si.
Y lo que mencionamos ya no se enfoca en las posiciones. Ya todos están jugando muchas posiciones parecidas. Se tiene que basar en las cualidades de cada jugador y esto nos puede ayudar exactamente a cómo medirlas y utilizarlas para atacar.
That's it. Any questions?
¿Alguna pregunta, coaches?
Chicos.
Me gustaría saber si, ya que estuvieron acá en Europa con jugadores, si creen que esa lectura ofensiva es enseñable en todos los sentidos, o hay jugadores que ya la traen. Los jugadores europeos o no FIBA ya quizás traigan entrenamientos de jugadores
Do you think, right, now that you've been here in Europe, spending some time, and you see players from Europe, do you think this would apply to the players in Europe as well? The question is, or they maybe have a little bit of that idea already of like playing on, depending on their own qualities, and that changes a lot from the players in the US than you've seen here, and he's coming back to Europe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, and I do think in Europe, and you can see it now with players like Jokic, Giannis, they have all these different type of skills, and Luka Doncic, who is big, he can post up, he can play pick and roll, he can shoot. I honestly think that the game over here is changing the game in the United States.
Sí, la respuesta es as well. Yes. Sí, la respuesta es que sí, porque al ver jugadores, por ejemplo, como Wemby, como Giannis, como Jokic, como Luka, son jugadores que hacen más de una cosa a la vez, que en Estados Unidos, en América generalmente, está muy enfocado en una de las posiciones. Luka puede hacer postear gente abajo, cosa que no hacían en Estados Unidos. Entonces sí, creo que eso ya lo pueden hacer más en Europa y se adapta mucho más fácil y rápido. Buena pregunta. Yep.
Yeah, so it's a great question. It's every day.
And I think there are little drills that you can do. If you can take your players and put them in the middle of the paint and just have them move around, and then I would shoot it. If it's a make, closest guy would take it out. They'd have to move to the spots. If it's a miss, same thing, the guy that gets the rebound, they're gonna have to get out high and wide. It takes a lot of time. We used something similar to this in Milwaukee when I used to coach there with Giannis, and he made it look pretty good. But it takes a lot of training, and I think that's just one way we did it to get guys in different spots and get them moving a little bit random.
La pregunta es muy buena, es acerca de el espacio y el tiempo, el pacing más que nada. Como tiene mucho que ver con el pacing, esta ofensiva, ¿cómo entrenan para que el pacing sea correcto? Es decir, por ejemplo, que no salgan a poner el bloqueo antes de tiempo porque entonces pierden el pase en ese momento y ya no funciona. La respuesta de coach es que es un solo
repetición y entrenamiento, es repetirlo cada vez. Algo que ha podido ayudar, esto nos pone en el círculo, al centro.
Eso empieza a trabajar en el pacing, tira el entrenador, la agarra y con repetición llega un punto en el que se sincroniza y ya lo hace de manera correcta. Cuando estaba en Milwaukee, eso lo entrenaba mucho con Giannis. Giannis lo hacía ver muy fácil porque atléticamente tiene mucha capacidad, pero de igual forma era con repetición y con ese entrenamiento llegaba un punto en el que todos lo pueden hacer al mismo tiempo.
Good coach. Bueno, un fuerte aplauso.
Thank you.